Everyone, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast in all of the internet. My name is Summer Rain.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
And my name is David Howe. Oh boy, it's Summer's 10th episode on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. Give it up for Summer.
Yay, I'm here for the 10th time.
It was very much a request on Summer's behalf to host the show this time, which we graciously were 100%
You begged me to do that. What are you talking about?
Where are these wires getting crossed? Okay, I need my people to talk to your people.
Okay.
No, we have you on this week, Summer, because we're talking all about Fire Emblem Engage.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exciting, right?
Cannot shut up about it. I'm here.
Oh my God, we're going to be getting into all that on the show here. We also have a lot of news for you guys. There's some new patents we're going to be going over with Nintendo. There's going to be a Birdo Lego figure. My goodness gracious. Also, there's a new Bloomberg report talking about Nintendo's plans to increase the number of Switches sold this year. What does that mean for a possible Switch success? We're going to be going over all of that in the news and much, much more. But how are we doing? How are we doing, gang, before we get into anything?
Pretty good over here. We hung out over the weekend. We went out and had some beers. That was fun.
Yeah. That was a great time.
We were talking shop about Super Switch Headz, Patreon, merch, all the things.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty great time. What about you, Patrick? How are you doing?
I'm all right. It was
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I've had a weird day, but in general things have been pretty good. I just
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've been just kind of off today, but I'll be all right. It's gonna be great.
Same. Yeah. I'm feeling hella off today. I had some weird energy coming into this recording. I had a good weekend though. I went to IkiCon. I think that is my first actual anime convention I've ever been to. I know this is old hat for you, Summer, but this is my first time at one of these. I had a great time. I bought a magnet and a shirt
Great.
and a vinyl sticker.
All things that I regularly buy at
there you go.
So yeah.
No, it was a good time. My work had a panel, and I went to go support that, and we got free badges and stuff like that. So it was a fun time. Great people watching. I love looking at all those weebs walking around in costume. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. What about you, Summer? How was your past week?
It's been good. I am almost done wrapping up my blog post about my time at MagFest, which is the music and gaming festival. So hoping to have that published relatively soon. Just feeling really rejuvenated and inspired to be working on video game music. Patrick and I have things that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm, and just lots of Fire Emblem. I couldn't possibly have gone to a convention this weekend because I needed to be playing Fire Emblem. I'm getting ready to go to Super Bitfest in San Antonio, which is a music festival in San Antonio. Some of our listeners might be more local to that area. Would love to see other people there. I'm really excited. A lot of bands that I'm really excited to see are performing there. The lineup is stacked. Really excited. Mega Ran, a well-known nerdcore rapper, and Triforce Quartet are the headliners. So it'll be really cool.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, last week we talked about the upcoming Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, in advance of Nintendo giving us lots of details. We thought we'd do some speculation. We got lots of great comments on that episode, in particular on the Discord. Other Dylan mentioned maybe a disarming mechanic would be cool in lieu of the breakable weapons. Karuseta gave us a detailed story prediction. Ivy suggested that there should be a Zelda-themed Splatfest, and Typos took that idea and said it should be the Triforce, and that sounds nice. That feels like that could happen.
Yeah. Wisdom, courage, and power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Splatfest.
Over on YouTube, Krakow said that they're really hoping that this game has like a darker tinge to it, and one of the weirder, darker Zelda games. And we also got Steve Busam leaving a comment about enemy variety and wanting more enemies in the open areas, which Breath of the Wild definitely had a lot of blank space. So
yeah, that was a big one that I think we left out last episode. Is like one of the major complaints from the original Breath of the Wild that I really do hope they fix this go around.
Over on Twitter, we want to thank AV Andrew Valentine for giving a shout out of our podcast, talking about some of his favorite Nintendo and Switch podcasts. So yeah, we appreciate hearing from folks and having people share our podcast like that out on social media. That's awesome. Please do that. And if you have a comment or something, share it with us. Maybe we'll shout you out next time. And remember to like and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, leave us comments on our YouTube as well. We love seeing YouTube comments.
As David said earlier, there's a lot of interesting news. We're going to talk about first Nintendogs, everybody's favorite Nintendo IP, right? No.
Yes.
Yes. There we go. Somebody's
Yes.
favorite. Somebody's favorite.
A game that my ex-girlfriend used to refer to as Nintendogs.
That's how you pronounce it.
She's like,
actually.
"What's Nintendogs?"
It's hard to see because the dogs is there, and you
Yeah.
can see Ninten.
Oh yeah, what the hell's a Ninten?
Anyway, Nintendogs. There was apparently, I think it was maybe spotted by My Nintendo News, I believe, but somebody spotted there is a patent filed for sort of an AR looking experience by Nintendo for use with mobile that kind of makes it look like it could be a Nintendogs type game, which that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Like, I feel like AR for, your little dog's right there with you. I don't know if y'all agree with that or if you think
I agree 100%. I loved Nintendogs. Had it for the DS. Had it for Nintendogs and Cats for the 3DS. It was a great gap filler for me in between dogs, and it makes perfect sense to put it on mobile for other folks who aren't in a place where they can have a dog, because the way that they programmed those dogs was pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think was it last week we were talking about how Nintendo hadn't put out any mobile games in a really long time, and this just seems like a very obvious pick. It would make more sense for them to make this a mobile game than to make a new Switch Nintendogs game, personally,
The Switch doesn't have a microphone.
Exactly.
And
Stuff
that was
like
such
that.
a huge part of the game.
Yeah, and the inherent touchscreen of a cell phone game for like petting your little boys and girls makes a ton of sense. So I'm really hoping this happens. But I think this is one of the many things. Nintendo patents stuff all the time, and so we'll have to see if this actually turns into a thing. But I'm hoping.
And then not on a mobile phone, but on the Switch, starting, I believe that when this podcast actually comes out, you'll be able to do the game trial for Uno. I know everybody was waiting for Uno to hit the game trial.
Finally!
Everybody's favorite card game, Uno, right? Everybody, right?
That's right. The official card game of Super Switch Headz.
Man, it's crazy. On the day that Tears of the Kingdom is releasing, there's also another huge sequel releasing, Dose. I'm worried about the sales numbers on that one.
Well, so
You've
can
been
play
hanging out
Uno.
with me too long, David.
I gotta go.
I love it.
You can download the trial for Uno between when this podcast comes out and the 29th of January, Sunday. And then if it is interesting to you, it's on sale. So I don't know. Honestly, maybe it's great. We're giving it a hard time, but I just feel like everybody has Uno at their house
It's
already.
Uno. Well, I mean, it's for playing Uno alone, right? It's playing Uno.
Solo Uno.
I'm just saying, as a small kid who grew up in the middle of nowhere
With
on a farm, I loved Monopoly on the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because I had nobody to play it with IRL. I don't think I even ever particularly liked Monopoly, but something about it on the Game Boy Color hit different. I don't know.
Totally.
Just fake people to play with.
There are some good, like Jeopardy on the Switch is surprisingly good. That goes on sale all the time.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Also, I will say, if you're thinking about getting this game, maybe just get Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics because
Is Uno on there?
yeah, it's not called Uno. It's called Last Card because they didn't have the rights for the title or for the trademark or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's great. And you can play it online and it comes with 50 other games. So,
Wild. Okay.
yeah.
Lego. Nintendo's been working with Lego. There's just been tons of Nintendo Lego sets that have come out over the last few years. And they've been, in addition to like gigantic Bowsers and things, they've been doing more and more Mario sets, this sort of blocky Mario stuff. And I just thought it was awesome that there is now going to be a Lego Birdo. They do these little character packs and they're getting into some deep cuts. There's like cat Goombas and like, you know what I mean? Like Ice Bros and but I just love that Birdo now has a little Lego character.
Good
and I actually
her.
I also think they look good. Like it's like one of the ones that actually kind of fits this style of these better.
Mm-hmm.
We've not talked about a lot of the Lego stuff because there's just been so much and it's not been a big deal, but I felt like we had to mention that.
Yeah, we love Birdo, trans icon Birdo. Also, I think, do you think that this means that there's going to be a new Birdo game coming?
Definitely confirmed. Solo Birdo game.
I want a new Birdo game so bad. I love Birdo.
It might mean that she'll probably make an appearance in the movie that's upcoming.
That would be cool.
If there's
Could be.
merchandise.
But they're putting everything. Like they've been just making
Yes,
these
all
Legos.
of those characters will be in the movie.
Birdo played by
Goombas.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It's just fan casting.
Well, a little thing there, but moving on to something that I don't know a whole lot about, but I'm hoping that Matthew and David, you can explain this a little bit to me. There's been a rumor going around that Monolith Soft and Bandai Namco are working on a remake, right? This is a game that I'm not terribly familiar with.
Are you too scared to pronounce the name of this game, Patrick?
I tried when we were together. I tried to put it into my phone because we were talking about it for the show notes, and it autocorrected to butts. So, is this game called Butts?
The game is called Baten Kaitos, by the way, if you're unfamiliar. And this was an RPG on the GameCube made by Monolith Soft back in the day that didn't do like terribly well, but it was very unique for the GameCube. There weren't a lot of games like that on the GameCube. It's kind of an RPG with like card-based mechanics and stuff like that. I never played this game, but I always thought the cover looks really cool and always wanted to, and then just never got around to it. So the fact that this is potentially actually happening is pretty great. What did this person also leak? I forget.
I don't know, but it's a source that Xputer had, which I'm not fairly familiar with. Xputer, which is a website. I don't know if they have said who their source is, but
doesn't matter. It's a respectable source, and I think this would honestly make sense. And I'm actually super into this idea because that shows that Monolith Soft is not working on Xenoblade Chronicles 4, which I think is a good thing. And don't at me. Like, I like Xenoblade Chronicles. I think they should make more Xenoblade Chronicles, but they've made like 4 or 5 Xenoblade Chronicles games in a row, right? And so it's like,
I'm sure they have
what's
more
the
than
problem
one
here?
team. Like, it doesn't mean that at all. It does not mean that they're not working on more than one thing.
No, for
they
sure.
just
But
put out a series, is what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Right? Like
I'm just
the
saying,
remake,
like
2 happened, the remake, then 3 all kind of.
yeah. If anything, it's showing that Xenoblade Chronicles games have been really successful, and that Monolith Soft is in a position to where Nintendo's like, what do you want to work on next? And they're like, how about Baten Kaitos? And they're like, what? Are you serious? Well, whatever. We did say you could work on literally whatever you want. And so like, this is obviously an IP that's very close to Monolith Soft and something that they love. And I just love to see that they don't have to keep churning out Xenoblade Chronicles games because they make these games really fast, and they do a really good job with them. But it's nice to see them just make something that they want that kind of celebrates their history as a company.
I see what you're doing, David. Well, I would like Jupiter Corporation to stop making Picross games and work on
they made a bunch.
Yeah, they made so many. So why don't they
Wait,
make
does
a new...
Pick Bits versus Uzboros not count? That's a big departure.
I actually don't know. Did Jupiter make that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that
Do you
counts.
not follow Jupiter on Twitter?
No, of course not. I want a new Disney's Party. That's the best I got. Or a Sonic
What-
Pinball Party. I'm just reading from the Wikipedia at this point.
Did Jupiter also make that?
Yeah.
Shit.
Has anybody here played Baten Kaitos? No.
Nope, not me.
All right.
Mm-mm.
This was originally published by Bandai Namco at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. Jokes aside, I agree that it's probably a good idea to allow Monolith Soft to work on a different IP. Could be fun to see what they do.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think that this was the rumor about Bandai Namco working on an old Nintendo IP, because that was very specifically remastering like an action adventure game, which I don't think you could really qualify this as that. This is very much like an RPG. So I feel like there's still more. This could definitely be that. And again, this is still all rumor territory. We're talking about this like it's a sure thing, but it's like, I just feel like there's multiple teams at Bandai Namco working on bringing back old, IPs from Nintendo, and I think that's exciting if true.
We have NPD numbers for December, and then which means all of 2022. So NPD is the United States company that tracks, among other things, video game sales, hardware and software, and that sort of thing. So just some big overview here of things. In terms of Nintendo stuff, especially, like they don't have digital sales because Nintendo doesn't give them that information. So we can assume that probably Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is a lot higher than it is on the list, like of best selling games for the year. It's like number 6, I think, but probably it's a little higher than Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which is above it.
People getting all those Costco 2-packs.
Yeah, you bet. But in terms of like, for the year, top selling Nintendo games, that's up there. Obviously, Mario Kart 8, even just physical, is in the top 20. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is in the top 20. Nintendo Switch Sports and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are also in the top 20. So some evergreens, which makes you wonder, to the next big point, I feel like, which is that the Switch is the best selling console in the US for 5 years in a row. People are buying Switches and Mario Kart and Smash and, those titles, man, those things are selling.
It's a pretty legendary launch lineup or launch like window year for the Switch. Like, I think most consoles would love to have the kind of like staying power that like the first year of the Switch's release had, even with Tears of the Kingdom like coming out soon, people are still buying Breath of the Wild, pretty wild stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really anything else. I mean, we could talk about the industry as a whole. Like December was a little bit better than last December and that sort of thing. And we could look at the other consoles and stuff, but I think those are maybe the big ones. I mean, you could look specifically, obviously Pokemon games sold. Again, this is just physical sales. Are the highest selling. Both of the Pokemon games topped the Nintendo list of just Nintendo games, and then Mario Kart. Kirby and Forgotten Land also apparently doing very well.
I might be mistaken, but I think I read somewhere that Scarlet and Violet have almost already outsold the lifetime sales of Sword and Shield. And that's Sword and Shield have been out years, and Scarlet and Violet have been out like a couple months. So this is going to be far and away the biggest selling Pokemon game, which
crazy.
Is not teaching Nintendo any lessons or Game Freak any lessons about the state of games. But it's just wild stuff. I think we're going to continue seeing huge sellers on the Switch, which also I think brings us a bit into our next topic as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's move on to that, which is that there was a Bloomberg article that came out. Bloomberg has some sources in Nintendo hardware, it would seem, because this, they were ones that were talking about new Switch revisions and stuff like that a few years ago. And sounds like they're ramping back up production, that as the chip shortage is anticipated to, not be such a shortage. Nintendo is planning to its like manufacturing partners and other partners that's telling them they're going to be like making a big push and making more Switches, which means they expect to sell them and I don't know if anybody wants to like speculate on that, but obviously they think the Switch can sell a lot more in the next year, right? Maybe because of Tears of the Kingdom, maybe because of, I'm guessing, some big Mario game. You know what I mean? Like maybe to go with the movie, that they're expecting this to be a big year, or the next year to be, for it to continue.
I think this could mean a couple things, right? Because I mean, I think that with Scarlet and Violet coming out, there was a lot of conversation on like, is it time for a Switch successor? Is this game not performing well enough because the Switch isn't powerful enough? When is the time to like put this out, right? And I think it's pretty clear with a lot of games that have come out since then, Fire Emblem Engage being one of them, that games can still be very pretty on the Switch, right? And I do not, I think a lot of our predictions episode was like, when are they going to reveal new hardware? If they're going to have a Switch Pro, stuff like that. I think that this kind of news, them upping the amount of Switches that they want to sell, tells me two things. One, that Switch 2 or whatever the next console is not happening anytime soon. I think, I definitely don't think we'll see it this year. And if they're really trying to sell that number this year, I doubt they would reveal a next console this year either, because then people would slow down buying the current system just to buy the next one, right? So I think that, to me, feels pretty obvious. And then secondly, I hate to do this, but I think this does like also reopen some conversations about a hardware revision, right? Keeping the same name of the Switch, like Switch sales, while they are still selling really, really well, have slowed, because so many people that want one have one now, right? So I think if they were to put out something new, that would get a lot more people to double dip. It would boost back up their numbers. I think they're trying to get up to PS2 levels of consoles sold. So, I mean, that would be a pretty obvious way to do it. And if a Switch successor, if the sequel to the Switch is not going to be out for a couple of years, I think 2 years would do quite nicely left in its lifespan for an improved system. Now, I'm not saying that I necessarily want or need that. I'm happy with my current Switch. Especially since I have a Steam Deck, which basically is a Switch Pro to me. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know what you guys think about that, or if you have any thoughts similar or contrary.
The last thing that you just said about the Steam Deck, I think that anybody that would want a like Switch 2 got a Steam Deck, and that's probably filling that gap for what those folks are wanting out of handheld gaming. Because I'm thrilled to bits with my Switch, and I don't have an interest in a Steam Deck. I recently got an Xbox, so that's kind of filling that gap for me. Yeah, especially since I got the OLED model, right? Like that was my little upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't know, David. I don't like it.
You don't like what?
Go on.
We know how much Matthew loves to talk about the Switch Pro.
Ah, man. I don't know.
Historically.
Let's say they do a hardware revision, I don't know what they would do. But my mind only goes to like a couple things. Like you got to innovate to make it stand out in some way. So it's probably not a better screen. It's not going to
microphone.
It could be I think it could be something real simple. It could be a microphone. It could be like a new
3D.
But I don't think that. No, that's impossible.
I just really miss the 3DS.
Yeah.
I just want to watch Avatar 2: The Way of Water on my Switch.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
It could be like a new kickstand. It could be like new like a better hand grip, an official Nintendo official Joy-Cons like that you could grip.
I mean, I don't think any of those would sell.
I'm not done.
Projector. You don't need a docket. It just projects.
Yeah. Or that new
Actually,
technology
like
that prevents Joy-Con drift.
Yeah. But I mean, those would be controller revisions. I'm talking about hardware. I'm talking about like, the stuff that they had development kits out for, right? Like I don't think that would sell. I've had enough of you. No, I'm just saying. Okay, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's one way that they could sell another 20 million Switches this year. You know what I mean?
I think what we'll see instead is special editions. Tears of the Kingdom special edition. What are the games that are coming out? Pikmin. If maybe Metroid. Maybe if the trilogy or Prime 4. We probably won't get a special edition Kirby, although that'd be wild.
Oh, I'd love a pink Switch OLED. That would actually be pretty lit. Like the red
I would have
one
gotten
they did.
that. I would have gotten the pink one instead if it existed.
I stand corrected. Maybe we'll get a Kirby special edition.
I don't know. To your point, Matt, I think that, on the recent Nate the Hate episode that Nate Drake did with friend of the show, MVG, they were talking about, Switch Pro rumors. And they kind of gave like a timeline of stuff, right? Because those development kits were out there. People were talking about them. Developers were talking about them. MVG himself on the show was talking about how he talked to people at GDC that had some of those increased spec dev kits, right? But as I understand, also Nintendo asked for a lot of them back. I think that's something that happens in this industry. A lot of the time dev kits are rented to people or they're loaned out to developers. And so, that would make sense, if they did have plans for this and then they held it back. At the end of the day, I think Nintendo is completely fine and happy with where they're at with the Switch right now. A lot of the fears that people had about Violet and Scarlet were assuaged. And I think that most Nintendo first-party games are optimized for the console, right? And they all run well, or well enough, maybe they don't have anti-aliasing, but that, they look pretty otherwise, right? And so I really don't think it's necessary. I think people keep buying this thing. It is a lofty goal to increase year on year, but if the chip shortage is really starting to ebb, like a lot of the reports are saying, then that would make sense. Do you have any thoughts on the matter, Patrick? Or do you want to stay out of this?
No,
you don't want to get yelled at by Matt.
Choose your words, my dude. Choose your words.
I don't have anything else to say than I said, which is I kind of feel like the earliest point that was made. I don't think anything new is coming for a while. I don't think they want or need to. They can just now go back to producing OLED models, and maybe that's the standard from now on or something. I don't know.
Maybe 7 million of those 20 million are just going to be Black Friday Mario Kart 8 bundles.
But I think we all should move on to the next topic, which is our next couple are kind of some, downer topics for the gaming industry at large. First up, we talked about Ubisoft and its woes, and in particular, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope not doing well, and Just Dance 2023 not doing well. Well, the not so well-regarded Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot apparently internally said that the ball was in the employees' court to get the company back on track, and I think that did not increase morale there. And so reports have been that he has apologized for that, and that things are probably not great over at Ubisoft internally because of that. There's been company-wide meetings and stuff like that about it. So. And then also the industry at large, and then just tech at large has been having just tons of layoffs right now. Yeah. But a lot of them have happened to video game developers, people at 343 and other Microsoft studios, right? And then also some gaming journalism outlets. There's just been a ton of layoffs in the industry. That's it. There's been a lot of layoffs, and that's a bummer. And I've been watching lots of video game developers looking for work on places that LinkedIn and stuff where I follow, and a bunch of game developers. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah, it's wild to see. I play Halo a lot, and so it's affected
Halo.
Kind of the community of the Halo community of what's the direction of that franchise, it being a staple for Microsoft and Xbox as a brand. They recently replaced Master Chief on the box of Series X with Starfield. What's the name of the game? Is that the new one?
Yeah.
But that's Starfield. Yeah, they replaced Master Chief with Starfield. Maybe because that's the latest game. There's not a new Halo coming out. One could see it that way. but from like a Halo community, they laid off a lot of the people working on the single player campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is 343 going to continue to work on multiplayer only? Will certain companies like Certain Affinity or other third parties start working on these things? It's
Also,
weird.
There's going to be some tell-alls now too, because I've seen them,
Mhm.
right? Like there's already people who were like, we were mismanaged. I just got laid off. I worked on Halo, and the whole launch bungle was because of this and this. So that is starting to come out because these people are no longer working there and upset at being laid off all of a sudden or whatever.
I know 343 put out a public statement or whatever saying we are still like doing Halo, like we're going to be the Halo people still or whatever, right? And so I think that that some of that's probably definitely damage control or whatever, but at the end of the day, yeah, it was a really, really shitty week for the gaming industry as far as layoffs are concerned. And I mean, gaming is supposed to be at an all-time high, right? It's like the industry's meant to be booming, and yet we see all these massive layoffs. And it's just a reminder that like massive layoffs like this are a crisis of management, and it's all down to bad management. And if you have to lay off people, it's because of problems at the top, not because of the people that are at the bottom, right? I think it's something to keep in mind, and I hope that a lot of the people that are currently out of a job are able to find opportunities elsewhere. And I think I think a lot of this, the Microsoft stuff and the Ubisoft stuff, both come down to this fucking issue where profits are put ahead of what gamers really want. You know what I mean? I think the era of the live service game is toxic. I think no gamers really want that. You know what I mean? I mean, some games can do well with that, but it's not. They, like what?
There's a really
what is it that Kill the Justice League? The Suicide Squad game has a fucking battle pass. It's like, bro, like, does that game need a battle pass? Like, they're pivoting Halo to be this live service forever game, and then being like, oh, by the way, you expected this game to be built on for 10 years. Well, single player development is done. Like that's really shitty. And I think it's not what gamers want. And it's I don't know. This is inevitably going to happen because, and with Ubisoft too, it's like every game they do is like trying to be like this now. And so it's like, of course you're going to have financial problems because you can't run 5 different live service games all going on at once. You're eating into the user base with all your other projects. So I don't know. It just doesn't make financial sense to me, and it's no surprise to me that these layoffs are happening, as horrible as it is.
To that point, real briefly, there's a fellow I started following on LinkedIn who's a big gaming industry person. He works for Amazon, but his name's Amir Satvat, and does a really great analysis of what you're talking about, where he took like all the Metacritic scores for every game that came out last year and all the top selling games that came out last year, and was like, less than like 40% of these are, live service games or have microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not what everybody wants, and it's not the best or the best selling games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so anyway.
Everybody wants to be Destiny 2, but they don't realize that Destiny 2 players love Destiny 2 and aren't going to change to any other game. You know what I mean? Like Destiny 2 already had, like Bungie has got them. You know what I mean?
Also, like not analyzing what it is about Destiny 2 that's making it work as well.
Sure.
Right? Like, the whole battle pass format, like, obviously does work for certain games, right? Like Fortnite does well for a reason. And I like the way the catalogs work in Splatoon 3. And I think a lot of the companies are approaching it as like a cash grab and not actually like an actual service to gamers and what they're producing, right? Doesn't that
totally?
Yeah, like even making a battle pass, like a good user experience. Something like Respawn's Apex Legends is a live service game, but the way that you can earn coins to get things in the battle pass, the way that you get coins to purchase things or cosmetics is reasonable. To unlock characters is reasonable, but like Halo Infinite, it's like the user experience of the menus is divorced from the the transactions, and they're like they're not cohesive experiences. So all of these other live services, they're like two different business units, but it's all part of the gameplay, from the battle pass to the UI to the systems to like the online multiplayer services and matchmaking. They all Halo Infinite feels like 4 separate businesses in one game.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's awful. It's awful. And you run into this problem too, where you build your game to be a live service game, and it's got these lofty ambitions that it can never reach. You know, like basically investors are just like, oh yeah, that they made billions of dollars from that game last year. Let's do that. It's never going to hit that. And so what happens is you've got a game that is half complete or is very bare bones with the intention of it living forever. And then it fails and then is shut down within a year or two. You know,
I mean,
so
Marvel's Avengers just got announced to be shutting down later this year. So that's
nobody wins. Yeah. Awful stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I think we talked about that a lot. Unless anybody wants to squeeze anything else in, we should move on.
I feel really bad for Giant Bomb and GameSpot, man. Like especially like the industry people. This has been a rough year as well.
Did they have big layoffs just too?
Yeah, they sure did. You know, I think this is after Fanbyte had a bunch of issues as well. I just think that like it really sucks, especially being on Twitter and following a lot of these people and just like every other week seeing like, well, I guess we learned that we were laid off through Twitter and this is awful. You know, it's a hard time for everyone in the industry, not just the developers right now.
Yeah. Well, on that somber note, we're going to go take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about something that probably will inspire a little more happiness and joy. And that is Fire Emblem Engage. We are back, and this week we are talking about Fire Emblem Engage. It just came out on January 20th. This is the new big Nintendo game, the first big one of 2023. Man, I don't know there's so much we can talk about. We'll do our best to cover what we can. But I just want to start off with just some maybe general impressions, kind of big picture thoughts. How are we enjoying the game for those of us that have actually played it? And I just want to say I'm having a blast. This game is a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk more about it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, Summer, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this game so far as a huge Fire Emblem fan?
Yeah, so as a huge Fire Emblem fan, like right out of the gate, yes, I will say I am having a ton of fun. I want to go ahead and address it immediately because I'm just seeing it constantly plastered everywhere online. Well, the story is kind of meh, or the story is kind of But then like 100 plus things about how awesome the gameplay is, the classes, the leveling system, the animations, like the music, like, and it's so much fun. Like it's very reminiscent of like the older Fire Emblem games where you are kind of filling in the blanks with your characters on the battlefield and whether they live or die and the supports that they're making with other characters. The supports are also very more similar to the way that they used to be. And at least you don't have to have your supports on the battlefield. You're developing them out there, but you don't have to trigger them out there. So we haven't gone that far back, but I am having a blast. I'll go ahead and say I only in chapter 9 so far, finally meeting my anticipated waifu, Ivy. After meeting her sister, I was like, oh, I know who comes after you. Ivy with her gorgeous grill plate on her face, her grill plate veil. I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah. There's a lot to like about it. I know it's been kind of funny watching the people who have only played Three Houses like playing this game and saying like X, Y, and Z things about like the weapons triangle and the brake system and like even just like Vander at the beginning, like being a good unit immediately, but then suddenly he's not a good unit anymore. Like, oh, well, he's not really growing very much. And I'm like, oh yeah, we didn't really have that in Three Houses. There wasn't like this hand-holdy horseback character that kind of eased you into playing the game. So it's been kind of fun to see other people having that experience too of I'm like, yeah, this is a Fire Emblem game. Not that Three Houses wasn't a Fire Emblem game. It was just a very unique entry in the series, and I love it, and it's gonna always have a very strong place in my heart. I'll probably replay it after this one too, just to like kind of feel the differences and stuff. Like it'll always be there, but I'm having a blast with Engage so far, right? Like I did my, sorry, audio listeners, I am pointing to my eyes. I did my eye makeup tonight in the red and blue of the protagonist, Alir.
I did notice that.
And you got my Unica star. I'm probably going to, I thought I was going to cosplay Ivy when I saw all of the designs of all of the main characters that they teased in all the trailers. And then I saw Unica and she's like this fake thief that I'm pretty sure now that I've seen some of her supports was like a street performer or something.
It seems like, she was theatrical. I like her. She's one of the few characters that has this mysterious background. Or actually, there's more than one.
Hilarious. I love her.
Yeah. Hiya papaya. We can all agree.
Hiya papaya. Holy broccoli.
People have not played this game are very confused right now. But
it's not even that far in the game, right?
Yeah, no. I've gotten there. Yeah. But yeah, I'm also not that far. I'm on like chapter 7, I think. So I'm a decent way through. I've done a couple paralogs and played through some of the story, and I'm also really enjoying this game. I think it's great. I think it's funny you talked about Vander. I do think Vander is like the hand-holdy horse daddy who really wants your dirty clothes for some reason. It's something that happens early in your support conversations. But no, I think I think the game is super fun. I think that you're right on the money with a lot of it, Summer. I think in a lot of ways I miss the story beats and a little bit more of the kind of choose your own adventure aspect of Three Houses. I miss some of that kind of, I feel like the writing was a little bit stronger in Three Houses. The plot is very threadbare in this game. It kind of reads a bit like my 5th grade Zelda fan fiction in the way that a lot of the characters speak and are very on the nose about pushing the plot forward and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you're right on the money. I mean, that's not what this game is about. This game is about gameplay first and foremost. I think it's about vibes. I think I love how anime this game is. This game really has a lot of anime tropes in both its characters and its story. And it's just like, Fire Emblem Three Houses was such a dire world, and like everything about it, it started really kind of like bright and then gets really, really dark. And I'm sure this game's going to have some twists and turns that we haven't gotten to yet as well. But it's like right off the bat, this game is colorful and vibrant and energetic, and the characters are all super likable. I love that your protagonist, who I've named Shouty in my game, I love that she is fully voiced, or he, if you decide to go with he. I love that it's not a silent protagonist this go around. That's really a breath of fresh air. It's a tired JRPG trope that I'm honestly over. I think it works in a lot of games fine. But it's always refreshing to get a voiced protagonist in an RPG or a strategy game,
that has
wherever we want to.
Some personality, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and she's like very positive. I'm gonna be using she pronouns for the main character because I want. Do we all go with female Alir on our playthrough? I think so. I think almost
Matthew's being silent.
Yeah, I haven't played the game.
Matthew's not played.
Oh, okay, just kidding.
Matt had an intense weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm having a great time with the game, and I'll say more than anything, it's a much more addictive loop this go round than Three Houses. Three Houses, I loved all the character progression and the plot, but it was very easy to stop playing for that reason. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, before I get to my next battle.
It was a longer loop.
Yeah, it was a way longer loop, and it was for someone that has pretty bad ADD and like needs a lot of stuff constantly thrown in my face. This game is perfect for that, right? And so I'm really enjoying it personally.
Yeah.
It's dumb fun as opposed to Three Houses, which was like serious fun or something. Or you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Yeah.
I'm that person that my first Fire Emblem game was Three Houses. And, but I get that it's weird. Like this story is bad. The writing is bad, but it kind of works. It's almost like
it's camp.
That's what makes it good. Yes, it can.
It could be better. and it should be better, right? but like at the same time, I don't want to defend it because I don't think I think it could be better and still work.
Sure.
And maybe even work better. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But but it kind of works because it's very obvious, right? Like, there's the bad guy. Oh no, we got to fight him. And then like, let's go back to the sexy resort and get in our bathing suits. And that's our loop. And it's fun. And the battles
you can just
are fun.
steal dogs and cats.
I know they're using the word adopt for the animals. So you have your farm area where you can adopt animals when you find them in different locations, and they bring you resources, or they produce resources, right? Like chickens produce eggs and dogs produce iron, well-known fact. And
I love harvesting iron from dogs IRL.
And but you're not like, you'll be in like a normal village and there'll be a dog and you adopt it, and I'm like,
it was a street dog in that village.
am I
They all have like little collars and chips.
Am
like,
I stealing? I know the amount of modernization is questionable in this one, and I love it. Like some of their Somnial outfits that they change into when they're not in their battle attire, some of their outfits are very modern, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like
honestly,
sweatpants and crop tops.
Oh, I love the workout outfits.
Yes,
I want one.
workout
I want one of the
outfits.
workout outfits.
Over here, that's been a big thing. Like, so my son has watched me play a lot of
The
this.
mini games.
No, just dressing the characters. Like changing the clothes. And he puts them all into bathing suits.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and then my wife comes in and she chooses which one should wear which outfit. And then like he puts them back all in bathing suits. It's been a lot of fun. Honestly, like that's why I think that story
So
being
funny.
bad and telegraphed and all that works, because if it was somewhat more serious, then going back to the sexy resort and just having fun splashing in the pool would feel really at odds. You know what I mean?
I definitely did not keep my units in 3 houses in maid outfits during the war phase. What are you talking about?
That it just felt more grounded in that way in 3 houses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
and,
sure.
and so that felt maybe
maids are
would have
realistic.
that would have felt more anachronistic to me, like putting them in maids outfits or whatever. And I didn't, but shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. Not at all. But I think that's where it's weirdly works to have, because like it is weird that like we're going out into this world and having these battles and our people are dying, and then we're going, hey, why don't you come back to the sexy resort? Like, why don't we have a meal and hang out at the gazebo and whatever? Like, and then we'll go back out and figure it out later. I don't know.
I love it.
While we're on the topic of the Somnial, which is like kind of the in-between kind of hub where you do all your kind of like leveling up and equipment buying and all that kind of stuff. What I really like about this in comparison to 3 Houses is it was pretty required for you to be around the monastery and do lots of stuff, right? And which was fine for that game. I think it worked. You know, it had its kind of like Persona style day calendar system, right? And it worked with the setting being, you know, kind of a academy of sorts. But I do like that it's kind of optional in this game. You know, you can spend as little or as much time there as you want. I think it's still it's still a nice looking, pretty big space where if you really want to do that kind of gameplay, you can. But if you don't have to, right? Especially me. I'm playing on normal difficulty, and you know it's still somewhat challenging at points. Definitely at times seems a little too easy, but it's like I'm also not somebody who likes to, especially in RPGs. Like my eyes glaze over at all the new, you know, abilities
Stats
and systems and stats and equipment and stuff that you can buy. So it's like, if you just kind of skip all that shit, it makes the game harder on its own. You know what I mean? And so it's like, so for me, it's like, I'm the kind of guy in RPGs when all those systems start being presented, I just kind of end up brute forcing my way through the game. And that's kind of fun in its own way as well. Right.
Me too.
Yeah. And so I'm enjoying it for that reason. It's like, I don't have to go back and do all the side missions or do all the stuff to get all the best equipment and whatever. But if you want to, those systems are there. And especially if you play on like hard or maddening mode, like you're going to have to do that kind of stuff in order to like min-max your character.
I feel the need now to say that, yes, I'm in chapter 9, but I'm also in chapter 9 person who does literally everything in between. If a skirmish pops up, I'm doing it. And
Right.
after every skirmish, I'm going back to the Somniel, like in between every single battle. And I like that about that everything resets after literally every battle, not just chapter battles. After a skirmish or a paralog, you can go back to the Somniel and still collect resources. What's the other main one? The training in the arena.
Training.
Yeah. Patrick, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna, before we like totally move on past this story and stuff, like that in Three Houses as a new Fire Emblem player, I was drawn to the story and monastery and relationships part of the game. But in this game, I am more drawn to the battles and the characters in the sort of the emergent gameplay of the characters. Like I like to play as this character, so I'll talk to them and then I won't talk to anybody else. You know what I mean? Like
you're supposed to make your favorites and like hang out with them. Exactly.
And I think that like I've heard multiple people say that about that, and I think it's just interesting because I did not enjoy the battles and I found them frustrating, but now I feel like I'm actually enjoying them. And to David's point, the game does feel a little too easy on normal, and I'll probably say this 2 more times before we end, but I wish they let you adjust the difficulty up. It's really frustrating to have the only option be restarting a game to make it harder. I'll say it later again, I'm sure.
Are you guys playing on casual or classic?
Classic.
I am playing on casual.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm playing on classic.
Yeah,
but all that means is anytime someone dies, I rewind the fucking battle until the point where they don't die.
Because all classic really means too is that even in ye olden days, everyone restarted their game to try to do the battle over to make sure that person died or didn't die.
That's kind of an okay thing, I think.
Maybe.
Right?
Totally.
Yes. Yeah. That's totally valid. Yeah. When people talk about, even because that's the thing is now when I see people saying, oh, so-and-so died, haha, I guess I'm moving on. I'm like, what do you mean, haha, you're moving on? Like, no, you're supposed to restart and do it over and figure out how to save them.
But the game gives you so many characters.
That's also true. So just play.
You could let a few die in classic and be.
Yeah, but they're all just so nice.
Right? Like, don't let them die. Just let them hang out on Sexy Resort forever. And they're all my babies. I haven't found anybody that I absolutely detest yet. I just met Alchrist, and he is a just scrunkly little submissive and breedable little boy.
Can we
talk about Alchrist?
Is he the one who like bows like super heavily when you meet him?
He's the second son. He's the second prince of Brodia. Yeah. Younger to Diamond, who is
the cuck of Brodia.
Alchrist is a prime example of where the writing is bad for me, because I love how ridiculous and over the top he is half the time, and then half of the time he's a little too normal. And I feel like the game it doesn't jibe for me, like his character, and that's where I think some of the writing is like, man, just embrace him. That part where he jumped and then was like, I'm so sorry, and then the rest of the time he's just kind of a moody whatever. I love that. Like, make him a little more over the top.
What chapter are you on, by the way, Pat?
I'm right between y'all, I think. I'm around 8.
Yeah. All right. So you're about to also meet Ivy.
Okay. As I'm representing the voice of the listener who has not played this game. What I'm hearing is the story is bad but fun. The gameplay offers depth but not required. And the consequences of death are a little too harsh.
Yeah, that's annoying that the way they describe normal is like, new to the series or not very, not like, it doesn't even say like this is your baby's first Fire Emblem game, but it's like, this is like, it made me feel like normal's appropriate. And then,
fair enough.
And it probably is. Like, if I played hard, I might quit, but what I would really love to do is knock it up to hard, play a battle on hard, and be like,
turn up the difficulty,
and then be like, you know what, this was too hard. I want to go back down to normal. And I know they do that as sort of a vestige of Fire Emblem being a hard game,
like
and
that anymore, though.
I don't know of a lot. I mean, I feel like, and if there are, that's stupid.
Maybe I only play Fire Emblem games, so that's why I know it that way.
I think about like Wolfenstein, like not that Wolfenstein is a great example of difficulty because they literally call you a baby if you choose the easy one or whatever.
Yeah.
But in Wolfenstein,
They put you in a little baby's bonnet with a bib.
But when I've played Wolfenstein, what I love about it is that there are like 15 levels of difficulty, right?
Right.
And you can adjust it on the fly. And so I do, and that's how I liked it because I'm not a huge shooter person either. I'm not a big tactical person. I want to adjust it and sometimes be on this level when I feel like I'm cruising, and sometimes be on this level when I feel like I'm, you know.
I think the main problem is they don't expressly say that you can't raise it when you're picking it. It's only like once you've already started the game and you get back to the Somnial and you go to your room and you're like, oh, I can adjust the difficulty. It's like you can only adjust it.
I'm pretty sure when you're selecting your difficulty, it says
it should be able to go up.
Right,
maybe I'm wrong on that.
But I'm saying, I'm pretty sure it tells you, like, just so you know, you can only change your difficulty lower, but not higher.
Okay, if it did, I guess I was too excited.
I'm only
to
saying
just start
that
the
to
game,
correct
but
David, but not to not sympathize with Patrick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look, just so we're in the clear.
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on difficulty. It's hard. Balancing a game once is hard. Balancing a game for different levels is exponentially harder, right? So I get it, but I just also don't quite get why I can't amp up the difficulty. But whatever.
I'm sure there are reasons, like
resource
farming
hoarding,
items, resource hoarding, farming items, stuff like that.
So
but it's all
what if people do that?
I agree.
Like,
it's the same thing about the same thing about oh, we're not allowing cloud saves on Animal Crossing because you could cheat. It's like, dude, it's fucking Animal Crossing, man. Like, who cares?
Who cares if I want to cheat? Because honestly, what I want to do is make it harder. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But anyway, let's move on from the difficulty because I think we're all in agreement there. But I think maybe we could talk just a little bit more about the things that I think make this game more robust. And I think that the battle mechanics have been improved or at least brought back to Fire Emblem standard that were missing from Three Houses in particular. I think the bringing back the weapons wheel or the weapons triangle, I suppose, I believe it's called, is great, right? And I think it adds a whole level to, what is it? It's axe beats lance, lance beats sword, and sword beats axe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I remember. Sal is how I remember it. That's right.
Yeah,
sword
that's
over
helpful because
axe,
I honestly
axe over lance. No, and I only figured that out and I've been playing Fire Emblem for over 10 years, and I only I was like, gosh, I don't know that I'm ever going to remember the weapons triangle. Like I'm saying this out loud to myself while I was replaying through, I think, Blazing Blade. And I'm like staring at the weapons triangle. And I'm like, Sal. Oh,
that's what
my buddy
need.
Sal.
Now I couldn't tell you what the weapons triangle was for the magic because there used to be a weapons triangle for different types of magic. But now we just have fists with magic and archers and beat.
There's
it's
knives.
Like fists beats arts.
Daggers
That's what it's
as
called.
well. Yeah,
those are all classified as arts: magic,
Okay.
Archery, and daggers, I believe. I don't miss battalions. I loved battalions in Three Houses, but I think the ring system, in figuring out who to give your rings to, and being able
it makes it really deep.
Being able to get abilities from the rings, that whole system. I think that all of the people who were complaining about the bond rings being a gacha system are totally shut up because I give them all a very big shut up because they it's just a different way to get ring accessories, right? That give you stat boosts. So you can spend your bond points on getting rings. They're called bond rings from all of the different franchises or all the different installments in the franchise once you get that ring character, like the main title one. And then you get different rings from all these different characters and you can level them up when you get enough rings and enough bond points. And there are people that are like, oh, these gacha mechanics, da da da. Well, I'm pretty sure this is very similar to how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did it as well. And you're not using real life currency. It's literally an additional currency that is in the game.
Yeah, which is pretty abundant.
Yeah, I think it's just a different fun way to incorporate doing accessory rings while also being a fun fan servicey callback to all of these games, because this is an anniversary title. It's just meant to be fun fan service. Because otherwise, what would you be doing in its place? You would be going to a shop and spending a different kind of currency on accessory rings to buff stats. So I think this is a much more fun alternative to that format of it.
We're talking about the rings, right? We got a lot to talk about with the rings.
Oh yeah, sorry. I wasn't talking about the main rings. I was talking about the other side rings. But we can talk about the main rings.
Or the emblem.
We can talk about the
rings,
emblems.
Right?
Yes, the emblem rings.
Which I think is also a great mechanic, and I think it spices it up quite a bit. And I think it's great that you can assign emblem rings to whatever character you want. Right?
Yeah, they're not bound.
Exactly. They're not bound to any particular character. So it really, I feel like on repeat playthroughs, if that's your sort of thing, if you want to play this game over, maybe on a higher difficulty.
Yeah, honestly.
Right?
It's a great way to play with classes because it's a good way to level up the different weapons of characters who wouldn't be able to access those weapons in their starting class. So that's how you can get them leveled up into other classes, right? So being able to play with classes in that way, like some master level classes are going to require proficiencies in different in Three Houses you had your instruction, and that's how you would level up in a weapon proficiency that they weren't already classed in. And now we have the rings instead to do that. And they're able to level up in that way.
Yeah, and then it's also just fun to see what this character looks like when they merge with this character. Or whatever, right?
I love
it's
that.
it's such a it's visually appealing,
right?
Yeah,
when she merges with Micaiah, it's really. And then I get to hear Veronica Taylor every time. That she voiced Micaiah, and I'm like, it's younger Manuela is here.
Like between all the characters and all the emblem rings, like there's so much like voice acting and diversity of cast in this game. It's insane.
And all the outfits, yes.
I am a little critical of the like old Fire Emblem characters being in this. It's just weird. Like the story justification for this is just, which I think is probably the right route to take that they took, which is not really explaining it. Like, right. That it just is a thing.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. Like Martha's been with you for 1,000 years. Shouldn't he get back to his fucking planet or whatever and do something there?
No, aren't they all dead? I figured they're all dead at this point.
Right. It's like, is the implication that these are their spirits? And I know we didn't talk about it too much, but like we were like, if these like are war heroes, shouldn't we let them rest? Instead of making them continue to fight these wars?
It's weird.
There's one goddamn thing they're good at. We're not going to waste it in heaven. Okay.
They don't seem upset about it. Like that's what's weird to me.
Thrilled to bits about
the economy of war never stops.
Yeah. So that's a little weird to me. That takes me out a little bit, to be honest with you, the rings and those characters, but not enough because
it's worse in the mobile game. So
but
this,
not
this
enough
is
because
like not anything compared to the attempted storyline of the summoning
I could imagine.
The mobile game. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's only 12 of them that are here instead of the 1,000 of them that don't know why they just got pulled from their world.
And you pointed out this kind of like this is an anniversary title as a way to do that. And I honestly think that this might also be a way, because like this game is hitting a lot of people like me who had Three Houses as their first game. You know, I wasn't a handheld Nintendo player between the Game Boy and the Switch. And so like, I think this is a way to force us to know some of these characters for remakes that might be coming up and stuff.
So when the leak came out with Colgate-chan, we can still call her that.
Pepsi waifu.
What else was in that leak, everybody? All together now. The genealogy remake.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Were we supposed to say genealogy remake?
The Holy War. I believe it's Fire Emblems 4 and 5. And that it's been heavily for years now that people have been saying like it needs to be a combined title, like a part 1 and a part 2, like acts 1 and 2. And I have not played it because I've been, people are like, oh yeah, it's super easy to emulate. You just have to do these 50 steps. And I'm like, if it's anything beyond having a Game Boy emulator on my phone and downloading the little package, like I glossed over, like get it on my Switch, please.
But there are rumors recently that there was meant to be a game released between Three Houses and this one, right? And that it's being held right now by Nintendo. And I think that would make a ton of sense, and it would make sense. And like you were saying, Patrick, as to why it's like introduce some of these characters for new fans. I think they saw what they were doing with this anniversary title. They had originally gaps in their release schedule that they no longer needed to fill. Right. And so they're like, let's hold that game. It doesn't matter. We'll put it out. And now that people have been introduced to them, it'll mean that much more to them whenever they pick up this remake.
Especially with Sigurd being one of the, I mean, obviously it makes sense that he's like the third one of the initial three, but especially like some of the lines that he's had, like even right at the beginning, I'm like, whoa, you've got like a lot of stuff you need to unpack that you're just like unpacking with these random people who you just met. Like, what is happening with you, Sigurd? Like, I know that you like fell in love with the forest spirit and had a forbidden child or something, but after that, I don't. It's like
I'm joking.
I haven't played the game. How spoiler could it be?
Anyway, no, I mean, he brings all that stuff up. He's like, he talks about stuff that happens in that game.
Right. To that I say, though, is that big Fire Emblem fans will tell you that that those are the real big, deep, dark, story-heavy games. So I think that it makes sense that we would get Engage after Three Houses, and then we would get the Genealogy remakes. And I think people who liked Three Houses will probably love Genealogy. Right. Plus, it's got the kids, like, like awakening.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like your offspring and stuff like that. Right. I think, but I think that gets to a bigger point that maybe we can get to, is like, I think it's wonderful that Fire Emblem's not just one thing. Right. It's like they can have lots of different, I mean, there, it's all the strategy, RPG and turn-based tactical combat, but I like that there are totally different vibes between this game and Three Houses, and then a game like Genealogy of the Holy War. If they ever actually do that remake, like that would be great. I heard this, someone was making this comparison on a different podcast, and this isn't exactly a one-to-one, but like we've got top-down dungeon-based Zelda games, and then we've got like 3D open world games, and the difference isn't quite as stark with Fire Emblem, obviously, but I think like it's totally good and cool to like spice stuff up, right? Within a franchise. You don't want to just make every game the exact same. That's how you get 30 Assassin's Creed games coming out every year, and you get decreasing sales, and it's like, this is, I think the hardcore Fire Emblem fans are going to buy all of them. Right. But then in the meantime, you've got people that are going to be picking up ones that are more akin to like what they're looking for in a game. Right. And so I think that's just really nice and refreshing to see with a Nintendo first party franchise. And I applaud that. I'm really happy with that.
There's a lot we could talk about. We should definitely talk a little more about the battles, but we should also talk a little more about the characters. For me, one of the things that's really striking about this game is how much I love the characters. They're a little one note and a little cheesier and not as, fleshed out, three-dimensional as like Three Houses, but that's okay. I don't know, right? Like I still like them a lot.
Yeah, they're fun.
It fits the vibe of this game.
Booba.
There's a lot of that. That is a little problematic, but fun. I don't know. Like, so who's everybody's favorite character? That's what I want to know. If you have to pick one or two, or maybe even a top three, if you can't do that, I would like to know who your favorite characters are. If you need a minute, I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
You're prepared, so.
I'm prepared. I came up with this question. So I think I'll give a male and female. I really, though it's changing a little bit. My favorite male character is Boucheron.
Is it funny?
Yeah.
Have you had his C support with Alfred?
No, I don't play with Alfred. I don't like Alfred.
I don't like Alfred. Alfred's in the friend zone for me.
Just have Alfred have some meals with some of the characters he supports with, just so you can see like That's the fair. Other characters and those supports. Yeah, that way.
I like Boucheron, and I think this is going to be like a theme of me for this game for me, because I really like his ability to attack in battles if you line him up next to people.
Oh, so because he's such a crybaby.
So I'm moving Boucheron around a lot in the battles, and I use him a lot, and so I'm always like got to check in with Boucheron. I don't know that I love his character, but I like him.
Oh.
If that makes sense.
You'll get other characters that have that. It's not ability.
I'm sticking with Boucheron.
It's the character. It's the character type that they
that can do that little chain attack
the
thing.
chain attack.
Yeah.
See, I was like all excited because I was like, oh, I think Boucheron is hilarious because he's like kind of a musclehead.
I do kind of like his personality.
But he's also a crybaby. Like literally, his base ability is like because he cries all the time, and like in his supports and stuff. And I just had him cook a meal, and he was like so happy that he cooked a successful meal that he was like, I'm gonna cry because this turned out better than I expected it to.
Emotional Boucheron.
But then like his supports with like Alfred and Etier, they're both like Alfred and Etier are both like so muscle focused, but they're not like visibly huge. Now Etier has like she literally has a crop top because she wants everybody to see her six pack, right?
She does. She's the archer, right?
Yeah.
She's got a six
visible six pack, and I think that's
she's
hilarious.
got a really deep voice too.
Yeah, but she's not
with
like
bow
super big, right? She is like obsessed with building muscle and getting bigger, and she's frustrated that she can't get bigger. And Alfred is like also frustrated that he can't get bigger. And Boucheron also like has these lines every time he levels up that like he's like apologizing to Prince Alfred even though he's not nearby because he doesn't want Alfred to have a complex about his retainer having bigger muscles than him. So
it's okay.
You were talking about your favorite characters and now I'm talking about it.
It's this one note thing. These characters have one note and they just hit it hard.
It's
right?
fun.
Like
it's anime.
Like Louis, not my favorite character though. I really like Louis too, or Louis. Just always talking about people watching. Every thing is about people watching. Like what if we gave this character as one trait was people watching, and then that's what Louis is, or Louis, or however you say his name.
Yeah.
But anyway, I also really like Chloe because I love to say Boucheron and Chloe is part of it.
Yeah.
Because I have to say their names out loud a lot.
Chloe, okay, first of all, she was my first character that I was able to level up to an advanced class. So I got her as a Griffin Rider now. Her obsession with not just eating,
I like
not
that.
just food, but her obsession specifically with folk food,
fairy
and eating
tales.
the foods. She's obsessed with eating the foods of different cultures because she's like it's like tasting into their culture.
She's like Anthony Bourdain.
She has this support with Jean completely.
Yep, I've seen that support. Yeah.
Unprompted. It's like, I brought you some stomach medicine, Chloe. And she's like, that's very thoughtful, but why did you do this? And he's like, I always see you eating weird things. And I
brought you some Tums, mate.
Yeah, basically.
God, nobody else in Fear and A has a British accent, but we decided that Jean needs to be this little British boy.
I love how you have like in that like paralogue where you meet Jean, it's like you've got this like able-bodied like grown-up man healer like in the scene, and then it's like, oh, you can go talk to these people and recruit them, and you don't recruit the able-bodied man, you just recruit this child soldier to like join you,
right?
Very silly.
It's ironic that he is like this doctor in training character, but they gave him the stature of a like crippled British orphan boy.
I'll give you some possible insight into why. You know who my son's favorite characters are?
Who?
Jean and Anna. The kids.
Right.
The 11-year-olds. The canon 11-year-olds. Yeah.
So I think that there is...
Maybe that's
I think even in one of those Ask the Developer interviews, which we didn't really talk about, they talk about how they wanted some things to appeal to younger players, and I honestly think those characters, I see it happening here. He wants to play as them, and I don't use them, and he's like, put them in. You know, when we're sitting there, and he's like, put them in their swimsuits.
This was the lens that I needed, because from my POV and a lot of the circles that I'm in, a lot of fans get mad about these child characters because their first thought is,
pervy or something.
Oh, it's intelligent systems being complete perverts again, which might not be entirely untrue.
Right.
Because apparently there was like a weird line from Anna that was taken out of the dub of the localization. But Their endings are, we know for a fact that if you do like the pact ring with the children characters, that it's not romantic, it's implied platonic, like caretaker.
Exactly. You can't romance
well,
them.
You say exactly, but in previous titles, it was extremely questionable what some of these ages were, and there was like moe bait all over the place. So like, I have my reservations for good reason.
Yeah, no.
But
that's been my
so
experience.
thank you for bringing that up with your son, because that really helps me to be like, feel less weird about it.
Also, I think just in the interest of time, we should probably like try to find the major things we want to hit to wrap up this combo.
I keep derailing you talking about your favorite characters.
I have hit the two. Whenever we're ready, we'll start.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Chloe as well. I don't really have a favorite male character right now. Maybe the beta cuck character we discussed earlier. I do like him, but
Alchrist.
Yeah, Alchrist. But what about you, Summer? Who are your favorite characters?
Yeah, I definitely, if we're saying male characters, since I already gushed about Boucheron and Louis, I do really like Alchrist more than I was maybe expecting to. I don't usually totally love characters like that, but some of his lines just kind of hit me in a different way. I was like,
totally.
Oh, you are submissive and breedable. Okay, yep, gonna pocket that information for later.
I agree.
And Yanaka, clearly, right?
Yeah, Yanaka's great.
She really caught me by surprise. I really went into this game knowing that there were certain types of characters that I was going to be on the lookout for. A lot of these characters kind of have more moe design, which like, I'm not going to say it's grown on me, but it's definitely not bothering me like I thought it might. But Yanaka is kind of in that sweet spot. I'm noticing that there's a pipeline. If we're going to talk about Three Houses characters, if you are a Rhea or Dorothea enjoyer, you're probably going to like Ivy, which is where I was like prepared to go. I didn't realize that there was going to be a Hilda Goneril pipeline. And that pipeline is Yanaka. So Yanaka.
I kind of don't trust her though.
Yanaka's introduction.
And you will have a support with her where she talks about that you are correct for not knowing if you should trust her.
Yeah, I think she's hiding something.
Yanaka is one of the stronger characters for that.
It's her dirty secret that she's a street performer. I'm sticking to it. I'm waiting to.
Yeah, and has some like shady background, right?
Yeah,
Not just,
exactly.
Like,
I have a killer's eyes. What was that? I have killer eyes. If you need a girl to see something, look at something real hard, talk to me.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
Not about characters. It's just another thing about the game that I want to make sure that I say before I forget it. They have been so on point with some of the camera direction and like the camera work in this game during some of these cutscenes and supports. I've noticed they're like using humorous camera shifting in a lot of the dialogue. And it's very similar to like camera shakes that have been popularized by things like VTubers, Vine, TikTok, vlogging, that I think is really hilarious. There's a support with Clan and Fram, where they're doing this back and forth bit, and on one of the back and forths, it does this kind of like boxy shake on both of them. And some of the and it was it was when I really found the words for it. I was like, oh wow, it's the cameras that they're working for some of this, like to hit visual humor. When Alchrist did his whole bowing sequence and the way that they did all of the different shots and the way that they moved the camera on him, I was like, oh wow, this is really smart, humorous camera work, which feels funny to say, but and I've seen people talking about it, like not specifically with those words, but just like, oh wow, the visual is like the visuals of how they're moving the imagery. I'm like, I think it's very funny.
Yeah, I think the cutscenes are gorgeous, right? Like and they're all like pre-rendered, right? Like you can see like the compression or whatever, right? Like it's not all done like live in engine or whatever. But I think it's better for it. Some of the actual conversations, it goes into like almost visual novel style like conversations, right? But then but outside of that, there are like tons of these pre-rendered cutscenes, and they're gorgeous. Like they work really, really well. They're really well directed. They're really well like shot, quote unquote. But it's like, and again, it's just like showing off this like really gorgeous character design, like they really went whole hog with the character design.
Yes.
You brought up VTubers, the person who designed these characters designs VTubers as well. You can definitely see that influence in it. They went super extra with all of them. They all have something about them that's super weird, but then they get to show it off in these cutscenes. And I think it's really, really nice, and especially when they have to do 2 versions of these for every single cutscene with a male and female Aleer, like it's just a lot of work that went into it. And you could tell like, they're really passionate about this game, and even though like with the story being a bit threadbare, like you've been talking about, Patrick, like you have to think that's by design because they put so much work into everything else in this game. Like it's clearly just meant to be kind of campy and meant to be a little over the top and meant to be easily digestible by a wide range of different audiences and ages and different types of people, as long as you like anime.
Yeah, this is the game that's going to get your son into Fire Emblem. I mean,
he's already into it now. Yeah,
he's going to love the story. He's going to be like,
exactly.
What?
You don't have to
You're
care.
Recruiting the bad girls. That's so cool. Like, I can't wait for that.
There's no question about who's good and who's bad, right? Like, I mean, other than maybe like Yunaka has a little shady history or whatever, but it's like the villains come in and they're like, we're gonna kill everyone, and then like the good guys come in and they're like, we're gonna defend the place or whatever. It's very telegraphed and clear.
This game is The Mandalorian and Three Houses is Andor. Different audiences within the same franchise. Yeah.
But I like both. So
exactly. I like both too. Yeah.
We need to kind of wrap up this conversation because I know we only skimmed the surface and we could talk more about a lot of these things, but I just want to give anybody the space to mention anything that we glossed over or haven't talked about yet.
If you have made a card, if you've made a profile card, please share it with me on Twitter. I want to see everybody's profile cards. There's so much that you can do, so much creativity. Patrick, have your son design your profile card since he's putting everybody in swimsuits, because that's what I did for my profile card. I put them all in swimsuits. I put them by the pool. I made them do funny poses. I made Sami sleep. Or no, he's acting like he's jumping into the pool. Yeah, what did everybody name Sami, or did you give him a different name?
I haven't gotten that character. That's your pet, right? I haven't gotten that.
You have to find them in the thumbnail.
That's
you
your
could
fault.
have done it.
Wait, where is he? Where is he?
In like
grotto.
The grotto.
Oh, I don't know. I clearly don't spend a lot of time in the Somnial. I'm just like out doing battles.
What's cute though is
dress him up.
eventually you do stuff, he'll start following you around.
And you hear his little footsteps when he's trying to catch up to you. It's so funny.
And then also, we didn't talk about this, but it's a tiny detail, but I love the pixel art characters in the loading screens.
You can use
Sami
them.
is a pixel art character that when he's following you in the Somnial, he'll have a little pixel art character.
And you can use their pixel art as stamps in your profile card.
Love their pixel art.
Yeah, I'm always taken aback whenever I see the pixel art characters. I'm like, fuck, my party is huge. It's just like so many people.
I can't wait to recruit 30 more characters.
Exactly. Jesus. It's giving me Chrono Cross vibes.
There are a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Man, so much fun. That's all. That would be what this game really is for me. Like, it's weird to say this because Fire Emblem Three Houses was my first Fire Emblem, but playing this, like hearing the sound effects and stuff, I'm like, oh, this feels comfortable. But it's also like super campy and fun, and I'm really enjoying that. It doesn't. Whereas Three Houses, I felt like I really have to sink in, like kind of like you were saying, David, and like spend some time when I'm playing it. This, I kind of just playing it, and having fun.
It's so fun.
It's just a blast.
Yeah, we're just enjoying it. We're just vibing.
Yeah.
It's so great. But like also strategizing, right? Like I still spend so much time, but I find myself having a better time like glancing at the map, seeing what the majority of like weapons are and positioning and everything. Like now that the weapons triangle is back, right? Because I felt like I spent way more time and than any other title in Three Houses, like during the prep phase, figuring out my weapons and everything. Oh my God. Right. Because you couldn't optimize in Three Houses. It was like, it's like the only Fire Emblem game that you can't like do that, or like out of the like newer titles, and you just press L and it optimizes everybody's weapons. Right. And then maybe you can go do a couple of tweaks. That's probably more of a later game.
It's just easier
weapons that you want on people. Just because of the optimization, that's cutting my prep time in half.
Exactly. When I select a battle, I just want to jump into the battle. You know what I mean? And it's like this game makes it really accessible and easy to do that. We didn't talk about when you finish a battle, you could just run around the battlefield and talk to villagers and the people that you're battling with. It's great. Yeah,
I
it's
love that too. You can collect resources, you can steal. Adopt animals.
Yeah, exactly. It's a breath of fresh air.
And it's kind of a way to figure out like who the runner-up VIP VIP
who
or
said I
MVP.
did well in the battle.
Right, because you get more bond points from certain members when you talk to them, because they'll say something in the battle as opposed to, oh, what a tragic thing that happened to this village. And then you talk to Fram and she was like, I really got stronger. And then you got 100 points.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really like the dichotomy, but like
So
haven't
much
even gotten
more.
to online play yet, which none of us have gotten to yet, but I'm really excited about it because you can make your own maps and share them with friends and play against friends online. I'm so
playing
excited.
Patrick's copy, so I'm playing offline.
Oh, well, that's something that people have been asking for a long time, and you can kind of do that sort of in certain modes and heroes. And when I saw a glimpse of what it looked like just when I first got the tower in game, like explaining what you could do, I was like, hey, that kind of looks like what they do in Heroes. But then immediately after, I was like, I don't care. I want to make maps and play my friends' maps. Give me the Mario Maker of Fire Emblem. Let's go.
Well, I guess we'll call it there. We could talk more about this, but in the interest of time, we should move on.
Send me your profile cards, everyone listening, please. I want to see them.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the other games that we've been playing recently. We're back. Honestly, I don't know. What do I have to talk about? Something. Yeah. I guess I've been playing a lot of Splatoon other than the Fire Emblem, which I always talk about. But I guess I will say this. I played a little bit of is it called Tinykin? Demo that's out on the Switch. I downloaded it when I heard that it had Pikmin-like elements. And my son and I tried it. He mostly played it. I played a little bit. I actually think it's pretty cool and would recommend people check it out, but I don't think it's exactly scratches the Pikmin itch because while it has this element of tons of characters following you and you throwing them, it's more of a 3D platformer in a lot of ways. It has a little bit of the same exploration elements, but it's more like a lot of vertical platforming and he didn't take to that as well. So I don't know that we'll get the game actually.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it, and I can see like it's fun grinding because you can ride this you're tiny, right? And you can ride like a soap bar and you can grind on rails and stuff. And I actually think that if I sat down and played it for a long time, I might enjoy it. He played it for a while and then was like kind of handed it to me. It's like, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, I don't know that you're going to get into this. So we gave up on it, but it's highly regarded. And it's actually, I can see why like it's fun. And then I also have been playing a little bit of Civilization 6 with him.
Nice.
Because
he's like, now that's my fucking speed.
It is. That's his game. Like he's into city building type stuff. And I remember reading somewhere like a recommendation of this game for kids. It's complicated, right? And but he's like determined to figure it out. So we've been playing a little bit of that as well.
I can't wait for your son to discover Spore.
Oh yeah.
Get old enough to play and start playing. In a couple of years, he'll be Spore ready, I think.
He's going to be playing Civ 6 and then wake up and he's suddenly 17.
That's possible too.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what happened to my life? I'm stuck in Civilization.
He's like, why am I Gandhi Stan? Matt, what have you been playing, man?
Nothing. It's been a wild week, whirlwind week for me. So the best video game thing that I've been consuming, I started Last of Us, and it's great, as everyone is saying.
The TV show?
Yes. Yes, the TV show. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch episode 2 last night?
Not yet. On my to do, but I loved episode 1. Just the characters and the relationship building, the world building. It's great.
Yeah, totally. Pedro Pascal is daddy for sure. And Joel. Well, Joel's kind of daddy. But anyway, yeah, episode 2 is also great. I'm really enjoying it. Also, I think I read a thing. It's got like the last night's episode went up from the premiere, the amount of viewers that watched it on the night. And overall, I think it's been viewed by like 20 million people or something like that. It's one of HBO's most successful shows in like a decade, you know. And so
impressive.
It's really cool to see video game IP like pulling in numbers like that. Just shows when you fucking do video game adaptations right, people are actually here for it. So take note, Hollywood. But anyway, I'll talk about what I've been playing next. I obviously been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Engage and mainstays like Picross and Tetris. 99. Although I play all kinds of Tetris. And I picked up Blue Fire, but I haven't played that yet. But I wanted to play that for a while. It was on sale, so I picked it up. Somebody in our Discord, I think it was maybe Donnie, posted about Blue Fire, and I was like, oh yeah, shit, I still got some money left over. I'm going to grab that. But other than that, I picked back up the Basement Collection, which is like a collection of like Flash games made by Edmund Macmillan, like pre-Binding of Isaac, basically. And I was just looking for stuff to like fuck around with on my Steam Deck, and that was super fun. It's fun like seeing a lot of like early games from a developer that you've played a lot later games of. It is a game I bought a long time ago, but it's just been fun kind of dipping back into those. Like the original Flash Meat Boy is in there from Newgrounds, and like a lot of other cool games. I love platformers and stuff, so there's a lot of that in there. I picked up a free-to-play game on Steam called Handshakes. And it's like a very strange puzzle game where you play as like two people that have to like snake their arms across this like grid area until they can meet in the middle and shake hands. And it's like a super fun, like, again, it's free, it's very small, but it's a great little Steam Deck puzzle game that I've been playing every once in a while. So I've been really enjoying that. Just not too much to say about Handshakes, but definitely check it out. It's really silly and fun. And I like puzzle games and kind of brain bending games. So that was a lot of fun for me. And then lastly, I want to say I have been playing the PC port of the unofficial PC port of Super Mario 64 with the Super Mario 64 Plus add-on, which is like a quality of life improvement to the game. And it just runs beautifully on the Steam Deck. The whole thing is 60 frames per second, which is never, the original game was capped at 30. And so just playing it alone in 60 FPS makes it feel like a whole brand new experience. But it's got improved moves. Like whenever you get a star in a level, it doesn't kick you out every time. So you can like get all the stars in one go, all these like little quality of life improvements. But basically because of that, I have now 100% in Mario 64 for the first time in my life. And thank you very much. You guys
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But no, it was like, I was like, oh, we're doing a Fire Emblem Engage episode. I better like play Fire Emblem Engage. And then I just like played Mario 64 for like 7 hours straight. Just like finding all these stars I never found when I was a kid, because I always like rolled credits after beating Bowser and was like, I'm good, I don't need to get all 120. But now I actually went for it and did it, and it was like kind of it was a cool new experience, and definitely like the definitive way to play that game. I think Mario 3D All-Stars was good, but this is what people wanted Mario 3D All-Stars to be, and so playing it in this way is like really, really refreshing. And yeah, it actually motivated me to actually go through and complete it. So I met Yoshi on top of the castle. I got those 100 extra lives. It was a blast. I had a wonderful time. I'm very proud of myself. And that's what I've been playing recently.
I'm playing, I'm showing clips of it and then the video version of the podcast. It is messing with my mind looking at it. Mario 64 and 60 frames per second.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's so
and
weird.
you can, and it's got moves from later 3D Mario games. So like you can, like when you're in the air, you can do like a ground pound flip into a dive, like you can in Mario Odyssey.
Wow.
Which is huge. You can do like the like butt slam into a high jump. And so like all these like little quality of life, they have improved wall jumping as well. Because Mario 64 had wall jumping, but you had to like jump immediately as you touch the wall. And here you grab the wall and you slide down and you can jump off whenever you feel like it. So, I mean, obviously the diehard's going to be like, well, you didn't actually 100% Mario 64. You fucking used all these cheats. It's like, I don't give a shit. This made it like so much easier and better to play. And it was more fun. And I don't know, they just really improved on this this game that I held in such high regard for my childhood. And yeah, I really recommend if you have a PC or like a Steam Deck or whatever, it's definitely worth building that game and adding that Mario 64 Plus mod. But anyway, Summer, what have you been playing?
Well, I am a standard Nintendo gamer. Been playing, I still pop into Splatoon every so often, working on that Season 2 catalog. I pop into Pokemon, still working on Pokemon Scarlet. And then other than those games, though, I actually managed to finish Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS Thursday night before Engage came out.
Made it.
I had been playing it, right? I've been working through it. And it was my first time playing through it since the game had come out 10 years ago, too. So it was really nice to revisit it. It still plays like a dream. Everything that I remembered and fell in love with it for the first time. And then I was like, oh, right, I am ready to play Engage. Let's go. Although just for funsies, too, I did stop into my town in New Leaf, Animal Crossing New Leaf, just to see how they were doing, and half of my villagers have moved out and are replaced with new people. And I remember, and what happened is what happens every single time that I check on my village on my village is at first I'm like, oh yeah, this is cute. I could maybe visit this again and do some more things. And then I remember how small the inventory space is. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I can't do this anymore. And it'll be another 5 months or longer before I pop in. It was 2 years this time. They were like, it's been 2 years since we've seen you. We thought you were dead.
It's been 83 years.
And they say things like that in New Leaf. They were a little punchier with the dialogue back then. So, but I mean, Awakening was the big one, and now it'll be Engage for a while, other than until the next Splatfest.
Yeah, very excited for that.
Which is confirmed to be the Triforce.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Well, Summer, thank you so much for coming on and talking.
Thank you for having me. My 10th anniversary of Switch Headz.
Is that what that means?
It's been 10 years now. I can't believe it. Thank you. It's a pleasure. You're obsessed with me, and vice versa.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am PDYX most places.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter, Matthew, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Summer? Where can people find you online?
You can find me most anywhere at Weebwitched, WEEBWITCHED. It's like Bewitched, but I'm a weeb, if that wasn't obvious after the Fire Emblem discussion.
Yeah, I think we've all made that abundantly clear. If you'd like to find our show on social media, folks, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. We've got a website, switchheadz.com. And you can join us on our Facebook group or our Discord. Please join our Discord. We'd love to have you there. I feel like the Discord is popping more and more every day. We got one of the best communities on the entire internet.
Makes sense. Vibing.
Yeah, we're vibing. We're fucking splatting. Dude, hashtag FE Spoilers channel is constantly popping off. We're talking about Taco Bell. We're talking about Domino's. We're talking about Red Lobster. we bring it all up in the Discord. Make sure you guys join. It's a great place for you and your family to hang out. Your found family of Discord friends. But anyway, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you so much for joining for this Fire Emblem episode. Thanks again one more time for Summer. Thanks for hosting the show this week. That was a great time. We're going to be back next week with an all brand new episode, so make sure you tune in for that. But in the meantime, gang, stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Marry whoever you want to marry in Fire Emblem Engage. Okay.
Except for
love
Anna and Jean.
Except for Anna and Jean. Don't marry children. That's illegal. But that's going to do it. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.